will, we're going to, just for everybody, again, double check your chat comments, make sure that they're going to all panelists and attendees. And then if you, we will send a transcript of the full chat to everybody.
Okay.
So that way that'll be shared. Thanks for sharing there, Pinky. And let's go to the next person, which is Brian Miller. Brian.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey,
Good morning.
Brian.
I'm Brian Miller. I'm with the Tech Forward Group, and we are a new division of a seniors technology software development company. So in a nutshell, what we're doing is we're bringing engagement, fitness, and nutrition technologies to the senior care market virtually, and basically plugging in the senior care facilities and related organizations into a way for the residents to communicate in-house with a very easy to use communication system. And then we have a platform with a complete library of all sorts of fitness and mind-body health programming for all ages and levels of competency. And the third component is the VitaScript professional nutritional consultation and counseling that we're offering through telehealth.
Wow. Sounds like a bunch of services that are going to really be essential in this new post-COVID and current COVID-19 world. So thanks for sharing that. Make sure that you add that into the chat, and that way all attendees will get that info and can contact you. Let's see. Okay, we already had Pinky, we had Brian. Our next one on the list is Anne Marie, or Anne Norrie. Anne?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Nice to be here. This is my first meeting with you.
So you've never been to an LSIN meeting?
No, I have always had it on my to-do list, but I have yet to make the opportunity to do so. I live in Western Loudoun County in Round Hill, and my office is in McLean. So trying to jiggle that early morning inbound has always been a struggle at 8:30.
Well, welcome to your first meeting. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's exciting to see that you guys are doing this virtually. It's fabulous, and connecting everyone. I am a realtor, an auctioneer, and a personal property appraiser. We have spent the last 5 years putting together a one-of-a-kind program where we are a resource to families, professionals and their clients, whether that's attorneys, accountants, financial advisors, where we are able to go in and offer a complete solution to personal assets, meaning if somebody needs to sell their real estate, we're able to help on that side. We conduct higher end online auctions. I served on the Virginia Board of Auctioneers until most recent, and I speak, I write about downsizing and about the resources to do so. So we offer a complete solution. And in addition to writing appraisals, whether that's for personal use, family distribution, probate court, or for IRS purposes, we write personal asset appraisals. That could be for art, it could be for furniture, it could be for any sort of personal assets. And we are also an expert witness if required for any resources. Our specialty is medium to higher end estates. We also provide an auction solution for real estate where we conduct seller ordered real estate auctions, and the advantage to that is that the seller does not pay any commissions or any of the transfer taxes. It's great for a probate situation.
Hey, Anne,
Yeah.
I don't want to appear to be rude
sorry.
or anything like that.
Yep.
But it sounds like you're the Swiss Army knife of moving, downsizing, and transitions.
Absolutely, in different aspects. Thank you for the time.
yeah, I want to make sure that we can get to some of the other folks before the meeting officially starts.
Thank you.
But make sure to use the chat, okay? And that's for everybody. Okay, next in line is Meta Hobson. Meta?
Good morning. How are you?
Hey,
My name is
Meta, we got about 5 or 6 other people that have their hand raised, and we got a little less than 10 minutes before we're going to kick off our program. So just try to be succinct and tell us who you are, what's going on. And one thing that I'd also recommend to the folks that have their hand raised, if there's a challenge, if there's something that you need help with, let us know.
okay. My name is Mita Hobson, and I am the account manager for a company called Caption Call. And what we do is we provide a no-cost amplified and captioning telephone for anybody with any level of hearing loss whatsoever. We are covered by the FCC because we fall under the Americans with Disabilities Act. I've just recently started working with Dr. Pinky, and I have many accounts across Northern Virginia, DC, Western Maryland, and West Virginia. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, and let's see. Our next person is Paul Nasto. Paul. Whoops. Yep. Paul.
How's that better?
Yep.
Hey gang, Paul Nasto here, owner of My Home Companion. We're a home and personal care agency, a faith-based agency. Most of you know us. I just want to let you know we're expanding our TeleTouch program. TeleTouch is a service that we provide to our clients where we call them on the days that we do not have a caregiver there. We've decided to open this up to the public for a short time. We will call any senior or super senior once a day, Monday through Friday, at no cost to anyone. We only ask that that senior be signed up with us and they have a contact person should something happen. Real quickly, we've set up a website called WeCallYourMom.com. WeCallYourMom.com. Go there, take a look. It's a free service we're going to do, I think, as long as people need to shelter in place. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thanks, Paul. And it's great to see how our community is responding with, you know, like the masks, the free services. This is one of the positive things that's happened with this crisis. Allegra.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Allegra Jaffe, and some of you may have known me from another nonprofit, but 2 months ago, I've launched my own company, Let's Connect. And what we're doing is connecting to the community by doing phone calls, visits, transportation. Because of the pandemic, we're only able to do our phone calls now. So we are providing 7-day-a-week calls. They can be safety checks. They can be social calls up to a half hour. And then we're also going to be doing Zoom parties starting at the end of the month, doing bingo, tic-tac-toe, and just having fun. And I am highlighting resources. So if you would like to be a resource on the Let's Connect website, please, I put it in the chat, my information, reach out to me. We would love to highlight the community and what everyone's doing. We're going to be doing referrals. So if you'd like to be a community referral, please let me know. And I also founded and I run the Millennial 50+ Ambassadors of Northern Virginia. Check us out on Facebook. We'll be having more networking and presenters coming in. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Sounds like some awesome things there. All right. Let's see. We're going to do 2 more, and then I think we can, Peggy, just to get you in the rally mode, we will kick things off. I think it says Derek Archer, but I don't think it's Derek Archer. Who are we listening to?
This is Suzanne Herskowitz.
Okay, great, Suzanne.
Hi, good morning. This is my, I think, first meeting. I might have gone to one years ago. I'm out in Winchester, so like the other attendee, making it at 8:30 in the morning from Winchester is difficult. So this has actually been a boon for me to be able to do it this way. I am an estate planning attorney out in Winchester, and I do service Western Loudoun County, but obviously Winchester, Frederick, Shenandoah, Warren, Clark. I'm also licensed in West Virginia, so I handle the Eastern Panhandle and the counties just to the west of Frederick. We're doing appointments now by video chat and phone so that we can still talk to our clients, and doing our best to have people in the office to sign documents using distancing, lots of disinfectant, masks, gloves, disposable pens, and sending documents to clients that don't want to come in, and how to go about getting their documents signed. I am having a lot of panic calls now from people who have never done their plans that now think it's a good time to do them.
Yeah, and then also updating people's advance directives that said
Absolutely.
they don't want a respirator under any condition. I know that's a big.
Yeah, and I just recently spent about 2 hours online looking for some COVID-19 language from a bar or association or some other organization, and I did find one, and I am offering that it's an addendum that you would have witness to add to your regular advance directive. And I'm offering that to people that would like it. I'm happy to send it to them. It's a pretty complicated document, so I'm not offering to fill them out for clients or anyone. It seems more medical than legal. But I do have one if anybody would be interested in
Yeah, share that in chat. Share that in chat.
Sure.
Thanks a lot, and great to have you at your first Elson meeting. Okay, and then our last, well, here we'll do two more. Our Neil McKinnon. Let's make this quick so we can put Peggy on. Neil.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I've been to a ton of these things, so I'm happy that we're able to do it virtually. So I'm Neil McKinnon with 123 Jump. Just to let you know that we're still making pickups. Our teams are using all the proper PPE, and we're doing everything virtually so that if anyone has anything in their home that they need to get out, our teams can still come in and do that stuff. We're also handling, as I said, payment and everything virtually. We understand that there's issues with bulk trash pickup, so if anyone's having any issues with that, I'll put my information in the chat and be able to help anyone any way that I can. Everybody stay safe out there.
Great. Thanks, Neil. And just an FYI, well, I picked on our last person, Patrice, before we kick the meeting off, Patrice DeHaven. You can also hear Neil tomorrow. We have a moving and downsizing and COVID-19 and beyond roundtable tomorrow at noon, which is going to be at JK Moving and Storage at their headquarters. You're going to get a virtual tour of that. That's tomorrow at noon, and Neil is representing junk removal on our panel. Patrice.
Okay, can you hear me? Good morning.
Yep.
And happy Nurses Day. This is Patrice with Carried Away Gifts. And I tell you, shipping is all where it's at. And so I ship from baby to bereavement and everything in between. We have Operation Gratitude, where it's open and eat snacks for first responders, doctors' offices, fire departments, that type of thing. And we have shipped them nationwide. So that has been a very big thing. You know, people can't meet. Mother's Day's coming on Sunday. So that's a crazy, crazy thing. We send Get Well, you know, we actually have these little houses with toilet paper, hand sanitizer, cookies, and Stay Well tea. And the little tagline on it is roll with it. So if we can help anybody through these tough times out there, we ship nationwide. We get carried away making you look good.
Great. Thanks, Patrice.
Patrice.
Okay, and then Patrice used the Q&A section to ask a question, and she was asking earlier, why can't I see these people that are talking? And you know, if you've been on a regular Zoom meeting with your coworkers or a dozen or so people, that's a meeting. And in general, in a meeting, that's where it looks like the Brady Bunch, where you got all the people there in one room. What I found is that when you start going over, you know, a couple dozen people, and we had over 80 people register for this meeting today, the webinar format seems to work a little bit better. But guys, this is a moving target, and this is gonna change, and we're doing the best that we can. So by all means, give the Elson board feedback on different ideas and different things. With that, I'm going to drop myself off the screen. I'm going to still sort of be like the Wizard of Oz in the background, so you might hear my voice, but I want to turn things over to your leader, Peggy Brita, with a family tie. And Peggy, if you need me, you just say, hey, Steve, advance my slide or do whatever, okay? But
Okay.
glad to see everybody here, and I'm really looking forward to the meeting and the presentation.
Great.
And I'm going to advance your slide there.
Thank you. Steve, just a quick question. You have that on rotate, so.
No, you're going
There.
to tell me, and just tell me when you want to advance, and I'll
Just
advance.
keep just, if you can put it on just a rotate, that would be great. Like every 3 seconds or something. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I am Peggy Brita. I am the president-elect of Elson, and we are really, really excited to be back virtually. I hope everyone is doing well and that you're all surviving this crazy time that we're living in. To start off, I just wanted to kind of share, I was chatting yesterday with my husband. I wanted to just talk about, you know, everyone has got to be going crazy. We heard earlier from a few people who have never been to the Elson meeting because of timing, and it just never worked for them. So I wanted to share some positive things that I think have come out of just, you know, being on lockdown, so to speak, and, you know, having this virus right now. So aside from the fact that we have new members showing up at our Elson meeting because we're doing it virtually, I think that is fantastic. But I did do some research yesterday online, and these were the 10 things that I found that were just kind of prevalent out there that people were saying is happening positive in their life. So rethinking your life. What's working for you? What's not working for you? Is number 10. So you have the opportunity to kind of think about what's happening. People are working remote, and businesses are seeing that it's working. So maybe we got some more remote working in our future, so that we don't always have to drive from Winchester all the way into McLean, as someone said earlier. People are fixing up their home. I know the honey-do list that I have is getting done, and that's fantastic. I think people are focusing on their self. Number 7, focusing on yourself. You're being more creative. People are doing yoga, they're meditating, they're exercising. All these things are fantastic. People are decluttering their home. I just did, for those of you who don't know, I do a podcast called The Positive Brain, and we just recorded one on decluttering, which will be coming out later this month. So those things are happening. But one of my favorites is number 5, and people are cooking at home again. We can't go out to restaurants, so people are getting creative with cooking. They're cooking at home. We're having meals with our families. I think that's great. We're looking at our seniors and our elders as really valuable and spending time with them. And especially for this population, we can respect the fact that, you know, we're looking at our family in different ways. People are enjoying time with their children. Some going crazy because children are now always there, but still enjoying time. I can tell you, I I go out on the C&O Canal and the WOND, and I am constantly seeing families walking with their kids, riding bikes with their kids. And my neighborhood, for example, I've seen kids I never saw before. So families are getting out. Our planet, for those of you who don't know, our planet is actually getting better. Carbon emissions are sinking at the speed of light, and that is fantastic. My son lives out in LA, and he said he can actually breathe out there again. So the planet is getting better. One of the number one things I think is happening right now is that we're all saving money. I cannot tell you how much money we're saving because we're not going out, we're not eating out, we're not doing those things. Yeah, I probably have upped my purchases on Instagram a little bit, but still I'm saving money. So those are the top 10 things that are happening right now, I think, since the COVID. So think about your life, think about what's happening for you. And if you're struggling with all of this, try to look on the positive side. But today, we're going to get right to it because time is short. I wanted to introduce our two speakers today, Tom West and Arvette Reed with the LifeCare. They actually created a plan called the LifeCare Affordability Plan. So I'm going to introduce Tom, and then I'm going to introduce Arvette, and then I'm going to turn it over to them how they're going to do their presentation. So Tom West is the creator of the LifeCare Affordability Plan and is a partner in the Signature Estate and Investment Advisors, SEIA, as most of us know it, an investment management and financial planning firm that emphasizes cash flow in all stages of retirement. Over a 25-year career, Tom has a significant experience in advising families struggling with how to support a loved one diagnosed with chronic illness, disability, or dementia. In 2018, Tom launched the LifeCare Affordability Plan, a fixed-fee financial planning and asset management solution designed to provide families with financial strategy that meets changing healthcare needs while preserving the caregiver's quality of life. Arvette Reed has worked as sales and marketing professional for over 15 years in the senior housing and healthcare industry. Her tenure spanned the range of independent living, assisted living, nursing care, dementia, and hospice services. This spectrum of experiences now uniquely informs her current role as the Director of Community Relations and Marketing for the LifeCare Affordability Plan, where she works with families to bridge the gap between the care plans as defined by senior housing and the healthcare professionals and necessary changes to the financial and investment strategies. Welcome, Tom and Arvette.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Arvette, you got mute.
I'm muting myself now.
Yeah, there you go. My bad. Hi, everybody.
Good morning. Let's see, Arvette, I believe you are in control of the slides.
Yes. So, Steve, do I need to get permission from you?
Hold on.
Or can I just hit share screen at the bottom?
Share screen and you're good.
Okay, got it. All right. Does everybody have it? No?
Yeah, we're on, and you can go ahead and do, okay. There you go, from beginning. Perfect.
Yeah, and go into presentation. There you go.
Yeah, you go. I just want to make sure. Okay, got it.
Sounds great. Well, thank you, everybody, for having Arvette and I on. Peggy, great introduction. I always feel better about myself when you're saying nice things about me. What we're going to be doing, just to set an agenda for the next, 40, 45 minutes, certainly leaving plenty of time for questions, is talking about our topic today, the blind spot, how the overlap of senior housing and healthcare with the financial world impacts you, your business, and your families. And we've had a lot of meetings with colleagues in a lot of different areas in the senior housing and healthcare community where we've thought about COVID-19 and how at a particular point in time, everything is changing in the world of financial security and in the world of health security at the same time. And part of what we're going to be exploring is how seniors that are needing care are experiencing a blind spot between the turnover in their financial world and their health security world. And what we really believe strongly is there's an approach and a framing to these kinds of problems that we think can really help. And that's really where we're going to be focusing on how we get these two different simultaneous crises understood in a way that can help seniors make better decisions about receiving the care that they need. Let me give our vet, my partner, an opportunity to introduce herself, and then we'll get started with our slides.
Okay, so some of you I know very well, some of you I've never met. Hello. So this presentation, we've used this as a base for a little while now, so some of you will feel like this is familiar, but we've added to it and expanded upon it based on some recent experiences. So as Peggy said, I was in the senior housing and healthcare market for 15 years. So when you hear me talk, I still kind of claim myself in that world as well. I've now been with Tom in the practice for 3 years, so I really feel like I'm getting insight on the financial world and how they're translating their day-to-day life so that we can better understand what's happening on the senior housing and healthcare side. So you're going to see a lot of references today about the healthcare viewpoint, and I'm going to say we a lot, and that we means me as part of the senior housing and healthcare group. So I'm going to hand it over to Tom to start, and we're going to go back and forth. And Steve, the one thing I don't see is we're just not going to take questions in the middle. We're going to keep them to the end, I assume. You might be gone.
If that's what works for you guys, yeah.
Okay, because I don't know
Totally up to you.
that there's a question.
Yeah,
So
we'll make sure we button up, and if you
Yeah.
guys can have questions, we can sort of move quickly. But I want to be respectful of time with questions and getting through our presentation. So,
Yeah.
Rebecca,
Okay.
could you go to our new reality slide?
Yep.
So, as a place to frame from a very high altitude, let's look a little bit at how seniors that are needing help are trying to process all of the unknowns that they're looking at right now. Starting from the left, there's always been uncertainty and some illiteracy about how seniors really recognize what care actually costs, really regardless of setting. Certainly this group is well attuned to the mistaken conclusion that seniors have that everything is covered by Medicare or Medicare Advantage. But think about how uncertain financial and real estate markets are changing the way that families are making decisions about care. And when we're thinking about the availability of care, I'm certainly not the expert, like there are experts in this chat room, to be able to say that the availability of care and the way that we're able to serve seniors in different settings, all of those things are different now than they might have been 6 months ago. So if you go one level closer to where the seniors are in their actual households, let's think about how COVID-19 has changed the way that they're making decisions under the roof. Family dynamics, we're seeing this in our practice regularly, are changing. If you've got an adult child who has a caregiving role, who all of a sudden has financial security issues with their own employment, if people are finding that they're not able to have care provided the same way, and people are thrust into caregiving roles that they weren't ready for, family dynamics are changing. Certainly with making decisions, there's obviously the legal element about the authority that people have to make decisions, but are people willing? Are they competent? Certainly COVID-19 is turning all of these things upside down for a lot of families. Consider also the dynamic of the actual healthcare event that the senior is looking at. What specifically is the diagnosis and the prescribed plan of care that might be consistent with dementia, mobility, fall risk, complex care, or the elephant in the room, which is COVID-19. What happens with the diagnosis there? And then the last piece that is really sort of household specific is, what does somebody's personal financial situation look like? What does their assets look like? What does their income look like? And how has that changed over the course of the last few months when financial markets have been so royal? If you take a look at the way that we're blending this together, you can see that all of these different factors that seniors and their families have and how they're influencing decision-making. I have this sort of a little bit askew just to remind everybody that there isn't a framework that exists for families to easily recognize all of these different uncertainties and to be able to cleanly develop a process to make decisions about what to do next. We're going to talk a little bit about some approaches that I think all of us would be able to use successfully to try to guide families through different parts of this. And then we'll certainly throw in a little bit of our own offer where we think we might be able to make a difference. But I think that the idea that all of these different factors are never really understood in alignment when families are sort of talking about what to do with the next important decision to make about caregiving.
Okay, so I'm going to jump and take over. So let's talk a little bit about, once again, I was in the industry for 15 years. I grew up, I'm a local girl born and raised in Alexandria. And as many of you know, I went through some healthcare challenges with my mother right after I joined the firm 3 years ago. It's been about a year and a half trying to manage being a wife, a mother, an adult child of a woman who was declining steadily over a year and a half, and a new employee in the firm, right? So one of the things that I realized as soon as I joined the firm is I really didn't understand what financial planners did, right? I had never grown up in a household where we talked about money. My parents didn't go to a financial planner. So first baseline, I was like, Tom, you understand about healthcare, because Tom's been involved, I don't know if we talked about this, but for 20 plus years in nonprofits, with the Alzheimer's Association, with Goodwin House, with Insight Memory Care Center, way back when it wasn't called Insight Memory Care Center. So Tom and I interacted periodically, and I knew he kind of understood the healthcare market through his financial lens the best he could. So the first thing I said is, can you explain to me what they do? So this was the slide to actually help explain for those of you who have not been to a financial planner what they actually do. So theoretically, they help you with pre-retirement goals, which are, if you have children, that could be college funds or any second housing you want to buy, or you want to upgrade your house. Then there's the conversation about retirement. When you retire, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay where you are? Do you want to move? Are you going to get another job? And then legacy, when you die, where is your money going to go? And all of these things are planning conversations for planning in the future. But here is what we in the healthcare industry understand, right? That between retirement and legacy, that's when all the healthcare stuff happens. And we have come to use the term, right then is when the job of the money has changed. So remember, you met with your financial planner about your retirement planning, but now all of a sudden you have a new diagnosis, your spouse has a new diagnosis, something has happened. So all the money you were planning to use to go travel the world needs to be rediverted to handle whatever this healthcare need is. So you're no longer necessarily in the planning mode. Historically, people have jumped into a reacting mode. This has happened. What do I do now? So I call it two tribes, two languages. And this was the best way I could put in words what I was experiencing when I kind of left the healthcare world and jumped over to finance. I really realized that the financial people do not speak senior housing and healthcare at all. Very few of them do. And when you ask them about senior housing and healthcare, the only thing they really answer with is long-term care insurance. That's pretty much what they knew. Some of them might have had some personal experience with a loved one that might have had a home care or moved into a community, but for the most part, they really didn't understand it. And then I was very vulnerable when I joined the financial firm, like, hey, guys, I do not speak finances. You know I have a budget at my house. I spent all these years in marketing and had no problem asking people for money. So some of you know I was admissions director at Arden Courts in Fair Oaks, had no problem asking for the check. I was the corporate marketing at Vincent Hall, had no problem, having the team ask for hundreds of thousands of dollars. But beyond that, I really didn't understand day-to-day financial planning at all. So that's why we call it two tribes, two languages. And it's very, very evident today with all that's going on with COVID-19 that the space between these two is even wider right now. Now, Tom, I'll let you comment on that a little bit because we just
yeah, and I mean, as the financial guy with the microphone, let me give you a little bit of a sense, just for 30 seconds, what financial and investment professionals, wealth management professionals, what they're doing right now. Our overwhelming sense on that side is stock market is crashing. You have parts of the market that look like they're not going to be recovering. You've got sections of your clients that you serve that might have employment issues now, that suddenly might be trying to finance dependent children. People are moving back into places that they didn't have. And what the wealth management industry right now has to deal with in terms of ways to serve The tools that they use in terms of a lot of investment vehicles to meet goals, they're not working like they're supposed to be right now, and we're all scrambling to figure out what's the new tool to be able to use. The second thing, from a business standpoint, a lot of the financial services companies, and a lot of them are in trouble. If you have your compensation sort of around how much money your clients have, and all the clients, some clients have a whole lot less money, it's a scramble. That little universe is sort of immune to a lot of the discussions that our vet sensitizes our team to every week. When we had our Monday meeting, for example, we have the talk about all the markets and whatnot, but our vet brings in the reality of this is what's happening with hospital discharges right now. This is what's happening with how home care is having to adapt to the new reality of COVID. Those kinds of things we find, at least initially, had to be a real deliberate sort of cross-pollination of these different disciplines. But when we actually see the way that families have to integrate both of these schools of thought to be able to make effective decisions, we feel very much and very strongly like we're on the right path in terms of guiding folks to execute better decisions.
Mm-hmm. And then the last bill on the side, when you have these two professionals, right? So most people might have had a long-term relationship with their financial professional, right? Doing all that planning. Then the healthcare stuff happens, and now they're being thrust into this healthcare world where they have a new set of professionals that they're looking for information from. But the two aren't aligning. They're not saying the same thing. And that's true before COVID-19. So think about sometimes when people were moving into a big community with a buy-in, or all of a sudden someone needed to move into an assisted living or get 24-hour care, they go to their financial professional, and the first thing they say is, you can't afford it. You know why? Because it wasn't in the plan. So families get caught in the middle between these two tribes and these two different languages. So this slide was interesting. So when the healthcare stuff happens, these are the typical conversations that families would ask the senior housing and professionals about. I don't understand what home versus community is. What is skilled versus non-skilled? I don't understand what my Medicare is going to cover. Treatment versus comfort care. I remember I worked for hospice for 5 years, so that's always an ongoing conversation. Independent, assisted, and nursing home. It's one big gray area to most people that aren't in the community, right? But then COVID-19 happens. So all the questions that we used to get and we were used to just handling, we're now getting these kind of questions. Like, how am I supposed to take care of my loved one? Either because I lost my job and I don't have the money, or I'm home now 24 hours and I don't know what to do. I need help. And the other thing is, if they aren't with me, are they safe? And when will I see them again? I mean, we know that families are going stir crazy, not being able to see their loved ones in the community, or even see their loved ones that are a mile away in a different house for fear of passing the disease. So the questions that we're getting from a healthcare perspective have changed. And we have clients who have tested positive over the last couple months that I'm having these conversations, and they're asking me these same questions. And here's the thing that we all know, that families regularly assume that the care is going to be covered by Medicare and insurance, right? We are always the ones that have to deliver the bad financial news. Because if you go back to the financial planning timeline, most of the financial planners are only talking about long-term care insurance and or one annuity, and that's it. Not Medicare and insurance, what it does and doesn't cover. So we're now delivering the bad news, although we are not the financial professional. The other thing that families don't realize is that as they age post-retirement, options may be taken away for many different reasons, right? Not just financial reasons, but people's health decreases, and the options that they thought they had, like, oh, I'm going to stay home till I'm dead because that's what my mom and my grandmother did. But the idea that someone may have a mid-stage dementia and is a wandering, that option gets taken away, but nobody tells them that before, right? And just think about what we're going through right COVID right now. People are hunkered down, locked in, not sure what they're going to do. But during this time frame, the health needs continue to rise, things continue to happen. So they might have had somewhat of a plan before COVID, but the question is, after this, is that plan going to be viable, or were options actually taken away? So there's a lot of questions on the table right now. The other thing is fear, uncertainty block the path. So when all of this comes to a family and all of this settles in, they hesitate, right? So here are some common objections. These are not out of a book. These are things that I just experienced through my time in the market. But we added in the COVID-19 objection, the I don't trust the staff is healthy. We're hearing that from all aspects of the industry, right? You see communities going on lockdown. You see families know they need help, but they're afraid to bring in help. And then when families have someone that actually has been diagnosed with COVID-19, then's the, well, I need help now while they're sick, but then what am I going to do? How am I going to get help when they're not sick? So this is a reality today. We all have to figure out how to overcome this one objection. The other three objections, which, you know, have been around forever and will continue to be around post-COVID, the frozen objection, which is the I don't know what to do, right? There's so much information coming at me. And remember, I might have a financial professional telling me one thing, the senior housing and healthcare person telling me one thing, my church member or neighbor telling me something else. I'm so confused. I'm just not going to do anything, right? That's a frozen objection. The next would be the post-event objection. The things are better now. Think dementia. Someone wandered out of the house, but you know what? I changed the lock, so she's not going to wander anymore. Or, you know, grandpa tripped over the carpet and I got rid of all the carpets, so we're good. So they no longer feel that there's a threat when we really know there's still things that need to be discussed. And then there's the price objection, that I can't afford it. If you look at the frozen objection and post-event objection, those of you in the industry, part of your training is how to overcome that objection and get families to step forward and make a decision. The reality is, how many of us were ever trained from a sales perspective in senior housing and healthcare on how to handle the I can't afford it objection? What is your answer? So when I joined the firm and we started talking about this, I realized I had done really well in senior housing and healthcare, but I wasn't trained on how to answer that question. And more importantly, sometimes I realized that families don't say that out loud. They may be giving you another objection and you're taking the steps to overcome that objection, but really that's not the objection. So if you don't start asking if there's a price objection, it may not be uncovered and you may not even be able to overcome it. All right. So that gives you some background on where our thought process is to lead us towards what we've developed to help you guys from a tool standpoint. All right, Tom, I'm handing it to you.
Yeah, hold this slide just for a second.
Sure.
Yeah, so for the audience, just to have a sense of where we're going to go for the second part of our presentation, we're going to drill a little bit more into how to unpack the I can't afford it, and then a little bit more about what our offer with LifeCare Affordability Plan puts together. But then I think it's important just to be able to see coming. We're going to conclude with going back up to a broader level where, with all of the different ways that everybody in the room is able to serve seniors the way that you want and your business is trying to help them, and to be able to integrate that into a good decision-making format, we're going to sort of close up and work towards how can presenting all of these different issues, like these objections that are up on the screen right now, in a cohesive way is going to be able to help families move forward and overcome some of the fear and uncertainty that we know is locking up effective decision making. So if we deep dive a little bit more, how do you handle I can't afford it? The particular offer that we've got, LifeCare Affordability Plan, just so you have a sense of what it is. It's a single fee engagement. It runs $4,000, and what we have strived very hard for in the last 6 weeks, I'm happy to report, even after we've done hundreds of these, that we're able to do all of these fully remotely. One of the things that's very important when we're engaging seniors, and I'll walk you through it, is to be able to establish accessibility and trust and the ability to talk with experts on our staff. We have all of this specifically integrated to work remotely right now. And what it is, it's an in-depth discovery process that, move slides on me, that both the healthcare and the financial sides of the client situation. And then next slide.
Sorry.
That's all right. The big thing that I want to go all the way back, and I appreciate, Peggy, what you said in the very beginning about, hey, what's going right, you know, in May 2020? What are the things that are positive? what we have found, and we borrowed a lot of the psychology that physicians use to improve compliance with a prescription. And what a lot of times physicians will do, particularly if the prescription is somewhat difficult, is they focus in on the things that the patients are most hopeful for. They don't zero in on all the things that they're afraid of. There's plenty of things to be afraid of right now. Our process has always started with zeroing in on the elements of the senior's life that they're most hopeful for, because even if you get down into brain function and being hopeful about something, it spurs the imagination, it's expansive, and it makes people more ready to listen to ways that we might be able to assist them, because you're going to where they are. You're not telling them all of the things that can go wrong and the reasons that they need to get out of their comfort zone. You're inviting them towards a potential outcome that is sort of the best case, and that we've really seen in terms of people responding to calls to action. Zeroing in on the elements that people are hopeful for is integral. We do, of course, talk about the things that we're most fearful for, because if we don't directly address health security and financial security and the downside, we're not doing our job. But a lot of our mission in terms of LifeCare affordability planning is, with guidance, how do we bring people to accept help that sometimes they need to pay for in a way that gets the best healthcare and family outcomes. Our team always is comprised of the two different disciplines that you see on the screen. You've got somebody from senior housing and healthcare background and somebody from financial services. We certified financial planner, for example. We typically have 3 or 4 meetings: discovery, scenario build, which we'll show you, and final recommendations. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in here that when we say it's a team, it's really important. So it's not the senior housing and healthcare professional, me, talking with the family and then throwing it over the fence to the financial professional. We stand side by side. We're in meetings together with families and hearing the same thing, so that when we're building this, we both have input every step along the way. The 3 meetings sometimes can take 6 weeks and sometimes can take 6 months. It completely depends on the dynamics of the family and what's happening. But what's most important is the timeline doesn't change. It's a flat rate fee, regardless if it's 6 weeks or 6 months. There's no by hour. There's no additional fee if we go over. The goal is to create a holistic plan that then we can hand over to the family at the end of the process.
And on the next handful of slides, I wanted to give you a flavor of, and again, I'm going to go real narrow here on what some financial recommendations might look like. And I'll go quickly because, as you would imagine, everybody's financial situation among the senior group that we're serving is going to be different. So I'm just going to be giving you some highlights, but then we're going to give you an insight on what our process actually looks like. And it's the process that I really am going to suggest for the audience to really start paying attention to. How do we build scenarios, and how do we, all of our different disciplines, come together to be able to show our seniors that need help that we've got a sensitivity to all of the different variables that are impacting their ability to accept help. So for financial recommendations, as you would expect, there's a gathering of documents. We've got attorneys and other financial professionals on the line. This is pretty rote. We do a pretty thorough fact gathering. Next. Cash recommendations, I'll share with you right now that we typically like to know in advance for the next 6 to 12 months where money is going to be coming from under a variety of different situations. I will share with you right now that families' liquidity needs have...
Hey, good morning, Rose.
Hello?
Would you be able to turn your microphone off? Thank you. Where I was going is the liquidity needs that people have changed right now for all of the reasons that we see in the news. Next. From an investment standpoint, is the current portfolio that the senior has, is it appropriate for the current circumstances? I will share with you, if people haven't considered making changes in their portfolio from when things started, they might be missing something. That isn't a rush to go sell a whole bunch of stuff. That's not my recommendation almost under any circumstances. But you always want to make sure that the dog wags the tail. What is the job of the money, as I mentioned here? And then how do you align investments in this new market to be able to give you the best probability of meeting those needs? Taxes, this is important and very current. You know, everybody in the room typically knows that healthcare expenses for long-term care can be deductible, and there are some tax planning around that. But should IRA distributions be accelerated in anticipation of those deductions? But remember, a few weeks ago, we got the CARES Act, which said that seniors don't have to take required minimum distributions, but maybe they have a lot of deductible long-term care expenses. What on earth do you do there? That's part of what we sort of zero in on, and certainly tax withholding are things that we focus on. And on insurance, we've got meetings this week. You know, what do we do with long-term care insurance? You know, premiums for long-term care insurance seem to keep going up. Do we keep the existing policy? How do we make a claim on a policy if I got it? And then if we're considering different offers from home care or continuing care retirement communities or whatnot, how do I anticipate the utility of that insurance that I might have and integrate that with the rest of the financial decisions that I have? Next slide.
Okay, so I'm going to take the reign, and what we're going to do, we're going to actually walk through a sample client. But I wanted to share with you that we have seen so many different scenarios all over the place, from people in their 30s and 40s who have been diagnosed with ALS or dementia or Alzheimer's. We had a gentleman at 47 who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so we worked with him and his wife, and they had 2 kids at the time, middle school and high school. So we worked with them on a plan, all the way through a woman who husband was on hospice. So I mentioned I worked for hospice earlier. I worked for Capital Caring, now Capital Caring Health. And this woman's husband was on living in a nursing home, 24-hour care on hospice, and came to us, and we were able to do a plan with her, and it was not too late. So there is no exact time frame. And what I need you to know is, if someone comes to us, me and Glenn, who's the CFP right now that I'm working with, we will evaluate and determine if the $4,000 flat rate is something that makes sense. So if it's something that we think we can do the plan and actually provide value, then we will move forward. If we don't think the plan's going to provide any value, then we're like sending them off to other resources and things like that. So I'm going to go through one sample client, but I just wanted to make sure that it's not that narrow of a group that we work with. Okay, so this is a scenario. We have David and Donna Pruitt. They're both 76, and David has a recent diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and they're trying to figure out what that means for their housing and their future care needs. So as Tom mentioned, we always start with what they're most hopeful for. So what they're most hopeful for is providing the best care possible for David, and most fearful of Donna running out of money because of David's care, right? These are common hopes and fears. The challenges that we had is that they have 5 children, all with opinions, and they all think they know what's best for dad. So those of us in the senior housing and healthcare community are very familiar with scenarios similar to this. Okay, so during discovery meeting 1, which we're in person, so you imagine David and Donna in the room, Glenn and I in the room, who's the CFP that I was working with at the time when we did it. And this is loosely based on a real client. So the physician told them that they thought David was going to need help in about 2 to 3 years for with ADLs. Obviously the 5 kids, everybody wants to jump in and help. We can, take the burden off of mom. David's investment strategy has always been conservative, but the children are extremely concerned about having another drop in the market. So they're already adjusting to now, for an example, and then what happens when this happens again. And Donna is healthy and very active. So when we're dealing with a couple, even though there's one person that's designated as the one with the diagnosis, we still are getting all the information we can about the other one, okay? And scenario build dementia progression. So it's very important as we get these data points, this is not our vet pulling all the information. I am pulling any information from anywhere. So sometimes a care manager is involved. Sometimes they already have a home care agency. Sometimes they already live in a community. So my job is to try to pull all the information together in one spot so that we can create scenarios that are realistic and the whole industry can relate to. Okay. So once we finish discovery meeting 1, this is the dementia progression scenario that we all agreed to that we were going to model out for the first one. So we're going to assume some kind of activity visits for this year. Assume, we'll do it virtually until everybody can get where they're going. Adult daycare for a couple of years, memory care, AL, and then death. The other thing that's very interesting is once we get families in this process, they are very open talking about what their thoughts are about death and when they think they're going to die. So we can say, let's put it out until 100. Most people are like, I'm not going to live that long. My mom died at 80. I'll be lucky to live to 85. Just do 85. And it's more matter of fact. So that's where I feel like, because I've been in the industry, I was in the industry for so long, having the ability to kind of have those conversations with families, I'm very comfortable, and they're very comfortable throwing out dates. So they were like, all right, we're going to assume 2027. So this, and I'm sorry this is small. I hope you can see it. I tried to do the adjustment. So what you see here is a picture, a screenshot of the actual system that we use. So the first meeting and discovery meeting, we then walk away with all the information, including all the financial information that Tom showed you. And it's not just investments and stocks, it's life insurance policies, it's all their tax returns. We look at all their legacy documents to see what's going on in there, so that if one person dies, make sure that we know how much money the other person's going to get. Like, there's a lot involved in that financial analysis. And we don't cut it short just because this is a plan as opposed to a full-time client. It's a full analysis. So the system that we use is a very robust multivariable analysis financial system that allows us to do some customization based on the specialty work that we're doing. So you'll see here on the left is it's lined up everything we had on the previous slide. The activity visits, we talked about 2 weeks for activity visits, 2 times a week. I actually added in home maintenance because remember, he's getting older, so he's not gonna be able to do around the house. So let's just throw in a home maintenance service. Let's throw in some care management. You know why? They have 5 kids. Someone needs to help coordinate all that conversation and that information. We know that he's gonna need home care. And we also know that he's probably with the dementia is going to benefit from some adult daycare scenarios. So let's throw that in. Remember, we talked about the market dropping. So we were able to say in 2022, what if the market drops again 10%? Now, we're up to 2022. It's been a couple of years. That means the daycare days are going to have to increase. That means the home care hours are going to have to increase. These are the types of things in our industry we know how to plan for, but the average prospect and the financial people don't know how to lay out this steady increase of cost over time.
And one of the things that I want to give credit to our vet for, and part of her impact on the build out of LifeCare affordability planning, is making sure that we embedded all of the realities that groups like Elson know that they might not be able to bring to the table and say, like, look, adult daycare, or we're going to have to add a mover cost, T-6 months before a transition or something like that. Those are the things that I really want to credit to make sure that she added to this.
Okay. And then we have them moving.
Yeah, just 3 to 5 minute warning here, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Sorry, I'll rush. So then we also know that Donna's going to get older. So let's add in some home improvements, and we're going to assume David dies in 2027, and let's add a concierge doctor for Donna. So this is our ability to put everything we can think of in there, and this is what it looks like. All right. So if you look at the gray is nothing happens, no increase in costs. My investments grow and grow and grow. And that's what the financial people are planning for of retirement, right? If they're going to grow and grow and grow. Well, we know the blue is the reality. You have all these costs that are going to come over time. So they start out with a little bit more than $500,000 in assets. This doesn't include Social Security or any monthly income that they got from pensions. You can see where the market drops. David moves to memory care. David dies. And Donna lives all the way to 90, and she still has money in the investments accounts. That's throwing in all this stuff, right? So that I can't afford it, they can't visualize how things might play out along the way with all these services. Next, another scenario, most people, the well spouse is like, what happens if I die, right? So all we're gonna do is add in a new variable. We're going to have Donna dying in 2024. So you can see the first bullets all the way up to the adult daycare program 5 days a week are exactly the same. We now have Donna dying, which means there's a life insurance payout, and now the house is being sold, right? Because David can't live there by himself. He moves into memory care. You can actually see there's still plenty of money, even when you add all that stuff in, right? So the beauty of this system is that the families see right before their eyes how these different scenarios can play out without having to make any commitment. So when they are done with the plan, and the plan is a real binder, I'll show you this. They get a binder full of information from the plan. So in 3 years from now, 4 years from now, when it's time to get home care, move to a assisted living, buy a care manager, get a care manager, go to concierge, they're not thinking, oh my gosh, I can't afford it, because they've already seen the plan of how it's going to work. And here are some insights when we got some feedback from people who have done this before. And these are some of the words that they use that before the process, you can see anxious, concerned, worried, I'm going to run out of money. I don't know how this is going to work. After the process, feeling prepared, reassured, comforted. So what happens is the process allows them to make decisions, not about money. So then we can say, you have the money in all these scenarios, right? Take money off the table. Now, what do you really want? And then make decisions based on that.
And I think that just my closing slide here, I think what all of us are searching for is how do we share with our seniors the expertise that we have in our individual lane, just like our individual lane is financial planning. How do each of you come up with an ability to explain what your value proposition in your individual lane, while also being sensitive to the holistic needs of the family? We're proud of this offer. We think that being able to put together sort of the new puzzled reality is, from a decision-making support standpoint, something that we think is really needed right now. That's the slide that we wanted to close on, Steve, and appreciate your time. And I think we just made it inside your 5 minutes. Steve might be on mute.
I'm back. Sorry.
Okay. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey, we got a question that came in during the presentation from Allegra. At what age should you start working with a financial planner?
Well, as a planner, I think that there's value really at any time. I think mostly it has to do with how does the financial planner charge and what are the problems that you need to be solved. The more complicated the problems are, where you're not able to identify all of the different variables that are going to impact the outcome, that probably improves the value of financial planning. I'd probably say when you think more broadly of wealth management, you typically want to have problems that are too difficult to solve on your own. And then once you have a situation like this, how do you adapt to change? I mean, I speak broadly for my industry. I think that financial planning adds a lot of value to create some structure to make decisions when there's so much unknowns.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's important to explain that there's kind of two tracks that our wealth management firm is on. We do the traditional asset management track where we have clients, and that is like a percentage of assets. That's your traditional financial asset under management model. The LifeCare affordability model is a flat rate plan. In general, the financial planner industry has stepped away from flat rate plans, right? So not only are we still doing the plan, but we're making it healthcare focused, which is why it's our specialty in this one particular case.
Good question.
Great. And for all the attendees, you can type in any questions into Q&A, or you can raise your hand under the participants icon, and we will call on you and allow you to talk. And while we're waiting for somebody for any questions, Peggy, if you want to jump in with any additional else in business.
So sorry about that. I'm choking as you're saying that. Arvet and Tom, thank you so much for sharing this. I think I know the first time I heard this presentation, I had no idea. Just like you, being in healthcare, I do not speak finance, so it was really helpful for me to just understand, what we're really looking at, that gap between retirement and death, basically. So thank you guys very much. It was really informative. People, please keep putting information in the chat. If you want to have a quick question for Tom and Arvet, you can chat with them privately too, and they can reach out to you. So just continue to do that. The next part, we usually have a spotlight speaker, and lucky you guys, guess who spotlight speaker is today? It is a family tie, which is actually my business. So I'm going to just share my screen real quick.
Yep, I gotta stop
Actually,
sharing.
you guys cannot share your screen. That's great.
I stopped it.
Okay.
Oh, and while you're doing that, somebody had a question. What areas do you cover, Tom and Arvet?
Why is it not working?
What areas do we cover in
Region. What region?
Oh, thank you. Generally speaking, the broader DC metro area is where we started. Right now, we're fully remote, so we are nationwide, and we have long distance clients hiring us currently. So in person, Loudoun County is certainly in range when everybody can see each other again, but with the remote access, we're not bound to a geography. Thank you.
Yeah, and we've had we've had a client who lived here, but her parents lived in California. And part of the analysis was, should she move them here? Should they stay in California? Or should they move with her brother in Washington? So we've done analysis like all kinds of ways.
Yeah, we've done a lot of long distance caregiving analysis. So this isn't a huge adaptation for us to be able to be sensitive to remote family.
And how would somebody make, you put your contact info up there. Another question was, how do I make a referral? I'm assuming just reach out to you or our vet and you guys will make that happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Peggy Breda, and I, aside from being a board member on Elson, I actually own a company called A Family Tie. I am a 25-year veteran of running senior living communities. This is my business partner and also husband, Tony Breda, many of you know. And A Family Tie started out of just honestly myself working in senior living and understanding that many families who are moving into senior living communities really don't know what they're doing. They take advice from their neighbor whose mom moved into this community and had a great experience, or it's a community close to them. And so just with myself knowing how the industry works, how assisted living works, I really felt that families needed a little bit more help navigating senior living to really best meet their needs as well as the community needs. When I was an executive director, I started seeing patterns in the people who weren't necessarily happy in my community. It wasn't because we weren't doing a good job. It was because we weren't meeting their expectations. And expectations are really the bottom line of success for both the family as well as the community. So I started A Family Tie to really help families navigate which communities are really a good fit for them. And that is, it's very different. So every, we, in our area, Sunrise Communities are probably the biggest company in this area, and each one is very different based on the feel of that community. So what we decided to do was to really help families navigate that. I'm going to just finish up, and I just want to tell a quick story about, COVID has really changed what we do in a lot of ways. There are still communities admitting families, and there are still families who are looking for senior care. I mean, people are still getting sick and people still need help. So A Family Tie stays up to date on who is admitting, what's going on in their community, and how we can help. Recently, we admitted a family to a community, and it was they had a very large family, 7, 8 children. Children were telling one daughter that mom and dad are going to move with you, and the one daughter said, no, I don't want mom and dad to move with me. And the other kids were like, too bad, they're doing it. And and they did, and it didn't work out. And so we had to move a family who had just moved with their daughter to Florida, back up to this area, and still navigate through COVID. So we were able to really bring the family together, kind of helping them understand why the one daughter really felt that she couldn't manage mom and dad's care and what was happening, and help them understand really what that means. It's not just about, yeah, I love my parents and I want to take care of them. There's other things that are involved, obviously, as many of you know. So we don't just say, hey, go check out this community. What we do is really help them understand what's happening, what the benefits are of senior living, and how it's going to better serve the people that they care about. Do you want to say anything? Because I know I got to wrap up because I only have a few minutes.
There's just a lot that we can do when a community faces a challenge with the transition. So with this particular family, we were able to provide the name of a mover. We were able to provide some coordination with the doctor's office, and made some phone calls to get that paperwork that needed to get done when the community was hitting a wall. So we're just going above and beyond. We kind of always had, but we're seeing a lot more need for above and beyond, and over, under, around, and through. We just work to get things done for the family.
Thank you. And so if anyone has a referral for us, we're definitely taking referrals. You can reach us through our website, which is www.afamilytie.com. Check it out. I also have a podcast, and all my podcasts are there. So I'd love for you guys to check out my podcast, The Positive Brain. Okay, that's that. Now on to Elson business. So first of all, what I want to do is to really thank Steve Gurney for helping us get our Elson meeting virtual. I mean, he really, really was very instrumental in helping us put all this together with the amount of people that we have. So Steve, thank you so very much for all your help in getting this virtual. I think it went pretty good. For the first time, we're going to get better. I also want to thank everybody for coming. I mean, really, this is the whole, Steve has just put a poll up. I want everyone to take a minute and answer that, because we normally actually have a happy hour the third Wednesday of every month, and we were thinking about doing it virtual this time. So it is sponsored by somebody. So if you would be down for a virtual happy hour and connecting with all your Elson peeps, we'd love for you to answer that poll and let us know. And we should have an answer if you guys all answer it before the end of this meeting. So everybody, thank you for coming. We really appreciate, especially those people who've never been to an Elson meeting before. Thank you for being here to kind of see what we're all about. Another little bit of Elson business, I wanted to just share that if you are a sponsor of Elson and you are on our online directory and our print directory, I wanted to let you know that our print directory for the fall or now is being postponed, only because nobody's out there and nobody's marketing and no one's handing it out. So we felt that it wasn't fair for you to have it in this time and not really get the benefit. So when all this is lifted, for those of you who are sponsors, you're still going to be in when we're back out marketing. And so, yes, don't worry that we are going to absolutely still get you in the directory and the print directory as it goes, as it moves forward. The last thing I want to let everybody know is, Elson is a big part of the Loudoun community, and we are always trying to help support businesses that are helping our community overall. When we met, we decided that we were going to help the Loudoun Area Agency on Aging is having some challenges just getting meals out to seniors in need. So we made a donation to the Area Agency on Aging to help them continue to provide meals to our seniors who have needs. So I just wanted to share with you all of that, all that we're doing, especially in this time of COVID. And we're really excited that we're able to continue to be a support for our seniors in Loudoun. If you are new to Elson, we'd love for you to check out our website, which is loudonseniors.org. You will see all the businesses which support Elson on there. If you are interested in supporting Elson and want to be a sponsor, you can just go on that website. You can click right in and become a sponsor. It's very affordable. For those of you who choose level 3, there's some extra benefits for level 3, which is you get to do a spotlight like I did today, and you get to host a happy hour once a month. And the happy hour is honestly a great opportunity for you to connect with people in the area, as well as kind of share about your business. So when you host a happy hour, you get to run the show. So if you want to share with people what you're doing, what makes you new and different, and how you can partner with people in the Loudoun County area, we really encourage you to be a level 3 sponsor, host at a happy hour. I know I've hosted one, and I've hosted a couple, and they're just invaluable for getting your message out in a way that you want to share with people. That's all I really have. So if there are any events or anyone is doing anything, if you can just, Steve, I'm going to ask you to kind of manage this since you have control. As people just raise your hand so Steve can pull you up on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, the results for the happy hour, it looks like 85% would attend or would try to attend. So I think it's worth giving it a shot, and you know, let's have some drinks. And you know, a great talking point at the happy hour would be the format of these meetings. Some of the best ideas come out of you know, having a few cocktails and getting together with your friends. Let's see. Yeah, again, we're trying to sort of keep the same format of the Elson meeting. So at this point in the meeting, we've got, well, we're kind of wrapping up at 10 o'clock. It's almost 10. But if you do have an announcement, raise your hand and we'll try to get you on.
And I'll just chime in here too real quick, Steve. This is Derek here.
Oh, good.
We have the Facebook group open, and the event for today is open as well. So that vehicle is there to help kind of facilitate the networking side of this. So if you feel like there's still some people you want to talk to, please head on over there, drop some event announcements there too. If we're out of time here, that's why we have that set up for you.
Oh, and another thing, so I'm gonna make a copy of the complete chat transcript. I'm gonna pass that to Derek, as well as a recording of this session, and then he can, and everybody who's registered, so he can send that out to everybody through the normal Elson channels.
We'll try to email it as well, guys. So because we actually have this opportunity. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Well, I think somebody's raised their hand. If you're on, let us know who you are. This is a.
Hey, good morning, Peggy. It's Sandy Kuhn at Morningside House of Leesburg. You look great.
Let me unmute. Hi, Sandy.
Hi. So, and I apologize because I was not on mute earlier when I said good morning and happy Nurses Day to my health and wellness director. So I apologize for that brief interruption. But I did want to tell you all, and I sent it through chat. Thankfully, at Morningside House of Leesburg, we've been COVID-free. We've done my staff have done an awesome job. With that said, we just this week have made the decision to reopen for move-ins under our new COVID-19 guidelines. So, and we've got, you know, with our studio apartments and our 1-bedrooms. So if anyone is interested, if you know family members at home who are struggling with a loved one that needs assisted living care, please have them contact myself or GoGo, because we do have new COVID-19 guidelines that are from our corporate office, just to ensure safety of our current residents and our new move-ins. So,
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Yep. That's great that you have no cases. Awesome for you guys.
All right. I would say, Peggy, because it is 10 o'clock, you know, wrap things up. I don't see any more hands raised.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. And again, thank you, Steve, for putting all this together for us. I think it went pretty good for our first time. It looks like we probably will be having a happy hour, a virtual happy hour on the 3rd Wednesday of this month. Look for that invitation to come out. And then of course, I'm going to guess we're going to be meeting next month virtually as well. Even if we do get some lifting on opening businesses again, I'm going to assume that senior living communities don't want 100 people walking through their communities. So we're going to protect the rights of the Ashley and probably do virtual again next month. So look for that announcement. And everyone have a fantastic day.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everybody. I'm gonna leave. Steve, I'm gonna leave, okay?